What's up, everybody? My name is Joe, and my wife and I, Jessica, we are full-time resellers. We buy liquidated goods. We sell them online for profit. So this video, I sit down with Dominic Carone, the prime-time treasure hunter, on his YouTube channel. And this was several months ago that I did this interview with him, and we sat down, we talked about the world of pallet flipping and liquidation. And I believe that this video, you'll find it useful and helpful. If you have any questions, put that down in the comment section, but stay tuned and check it out.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dominic, the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Welcome back to another episode of Primetime Live. Very excited tonight to have Joe Rensing from the Family Flips on. I'm just going to have Joe say hi so we can make sure he's in the feed and the audio is coming through and the video is coming through okay?
Yes, I got you, man.
All right, we have got Joe here, and Joe is going to talk to us tonight about wholesaling, and it's a very important topic. A lot of people have questions about it. Pallet liquidations. It's a whole separate beast and entity in and of itself in terms of how to make money with reselling. I want to say hi to people who are in the chat before we dive into the conversation with Joe. I saw Wade from Wade's Venture here. Wade, if you're hearing this, man, go back and look at my message to you. Come by the Facebook group, man, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. I'd love to have you as a member of the group. So we got Mary McQueen. Mary, I told you I am wearing the Booberry shirt for you tonight. So complimenting the Count Chocula one that I've shown before. So all I need is Frankenberry and Yummy Mummy to complete the circle there. Thank you very much for James being in the house, being very supportive as usual. Louis Grace, thank you very much for being here as well. So let me just give Joe a brief introduction. Joe is a full-time eBayer and Amazon entrepreneur. He also has a retail space in his warehouse in Conway, Arkansas. Does a lot with like I said, wholesale and pallet liquidation, and he has a YouTube channel that is called The Family Flips, and he also has one on Instagram. So I'm going to let Joe introduce himself a little bit more, tell you a little bit more about his business. And while I do that, while he does that, I'm going to drop some links to Joe's YouTube channel. So please go subscribe to Joe, and we'll do it Wade's Venture style. So let me know what number subscriber that you are to Joe. I just dropped his link there, so I want to get that sub count out. He does a lot of good unboxing videos and stuff, and shows you all around his warehouse, and it's just a great way to show how to grow your business. We're going to talk about how he grew to where he's at now to be in a warehouse, because it wasn't always like that. But Joe, why don't you start out by just a little introduction and stuff beyond what I said, and let people know a little bit more about what it is you do.
Yeah, like I'm Joe. It's weird, first off, being on this end of your introduction. So it's kind of like you have one of the best introductions out there for your live video. So it was kind of neat being on this side of it.
I like to make all the guests feel extra special.
Yeah, I felt like I was on the Tonight Show with old Conan.
Yeah,
so, but yeah.
I got I have Ed McMahon over here if I need him to come in. So,
but I've been a full-time reseller for probably 5 years, and I started off part-time selling probably 9 years ago. Just kind of give a little treasure map with, if you say, about just kind of where I got tie in. But I started off selling women's jeans, and
wow. Why'd you start off with that?
Because I didn't know. Like my ex-wife, we moved from Conway to Nashville, Tennessee, so that she can go to audio engineering school. And we went from 2 income to 1 income when we moved there. And I'm like, I need some money, so I just started selling stuff around my house. And then I was like, I go to Goodwill, and I don't know why, but I just started buying women's jeans. Where I was in Nashville, you can get some pretty good jeans, but it was a lot of work doing women's jeans for me. So I was in Goodwill one day, and I heard an advertisement for shopgoodwill.com. And I got on there, and they actually had a depot right there in Nashville to where you could go and pick stuff up and save on shipping. So I just started buying all kinds of stuff on there. But I kind of started, I bought a box of cell phones from there, like old school, like flip phones, slider phones. And I started selling those. I'm like, oh man, this is easy. This is so much easier than jeans, because you don't have to measure the rise and do all the different measurements. You can just put it out there and do it. So I did that for a little while, and then I got promoted to general manager with Cracker Barrel, and I kind of put reselling to the side. And then
I gotta stop you for a second. I know you're gonna tell everything you want to say, but now this is the third person that has jumped into reselling from working at Cracker Barrel that I know. Like Cracker Barrel, it must be traumatizing their employees to such an extent that they're jumping into reselling. The two others that I know who worked at Cracker Barrel is Steve Rakenpravet, and these are all people who like went on to like big things with reselling. So Steve Rakenpravet and Don, the auction professor, was also at Cracker Barrel. So
that's cool. Like, it was good money, but man, I managed I started managing restaurants when I was 14, and I retired, I'd say, when I was 34. So I worked in restaurants for roughly 20 years, and Cracker Barrel was difficult managing. I mean, I was making well over six figures. You know, every 3 months you get like a $15,000 bonus check, but it was not fun.
What was so tough about you managed one specific restaurant at Cracker Barrel?
Yeah, I mean,
what was so challenging about that?
One, it was the volume where we were at. We were doing like $4 or $5 million a year, but it was also the menu was. I mean, you can get breakfast and dinner anytime, but it was being open from 6 a.m. to 10, 11 o'clock at night. So you really have 3 day parts that you're doing. Plus, with Cracker Barrels, they're very analytical. They're very numbers driven. They do they spend a lot of money with numbers, and they are very aggressive in relation to metrics. And it's extremely difficult with the volume that you do to be able to really hit numbers. And it was just it's just busy. It's nonstop. And I mean, I guess really depending on where you are, you could get an easier situation, an easier store to run. But where I was at, it was in the heart of Nashville country. It was, Nashville, the corporate headquarters was right outside of Nashville. So, I mean, I had the CEO of the company dining in my restaurant at least once a week. Her family was in there every other day. So it was a very high pressure situation. And it's just tough. I mean, I've managed Chili's and Starbucks and all kinds of stuff. But Cracker Barrel, it was tough.
Now, I mentioned Don, the auction professor, because he has experience in restaurants too, and I've noticed that with a lot of people who've gone on to become like the big time resellers. That's not all of them, of course, but some of them have that restaurant experience. Is there something about that, especially because Don does a lot of wholesaling too? Is there something about the restaurant business, because you're buying some stuff wholesale, right, in restaurants? Do you notice any association between restaurant management and selling and the wholesale aspect of what you do for reselling?
I would say really it's the adaptability. I mean, just the fast pace. I mean, reselling, if you're going to be successful as a full-time, I mean, any really scope of reselling to be successful, you have to be able to adapt and change to the changing times, but also having a pace to where, you kind of, like, I've developed an inward pace where I've got to have a certain pace in order to get everything done. So I'd say, those two are very, very important. But it's different, if you're a reseller running a one-man show, it's going to be a little bit different than running, an operation where you have lots of different staff members. But I would say adaptability, and really, I think also is in restaurants, you have to learn to make decisions very, very quickly. And in resale, especially when you're sourcing items, whether it be wholesale or at Goodwill, garage sales, online, that you have to be able to make decisions very, very fast. I'm naturally a very quick decision maker. I'm more of a person that I'm going to hit the ground running and kind of learn it as I go, which a lot of successful restaurant managers, if you're doing day-to-day operations, you have to have that mindset, because you don't have time to take a step back, to be able to look at things on a shift by shift basis, to be able to analyze, do I purchase this, do I purchase that, that you got to make decisions quickly, especially if you're going to be able to hit different sales curves or getting an item at a certain price. So I think those three qualities probably, they help out a lot.
And also, you know, for the restaurant side of it, if you're gonna, you know, like everyone, like they need, like, let's say I need flour, right? You're not just gonna say, hey, go to the grocery store and buy some flour. You're gonna get it through a wholesaler, right?
Yeah, I mean,
there.
There is, I mean, it really, with that restaurant, they're like where I was a lot of corporate restaurant. I did work at some, you know, what I call mom and pop, where you have to learn how to source and where to buy those things to where you can get the best price. You can also negotiate those prices. But if you work in a corporate environment, you pretty much have to order from a certain place, a certain product at a certain price. So that aspect, the corporate side of it, it probably wouldn't translate very well. But if you are running a mom and pop restaurant, then there is a lot of purchasing skills that you can acquire through the restaurant industry that can translate over into reselling.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to reference the chat for a second. So Louis Grace was referencing my shirt. Yeah, this is the Booberry shirt. So I've worn the Count Chocula one before, so just showing off the Booberry right there. I love that. So okay, so yeah, so you were in the restaurant business, right? And it was a stressful job. You're making a lot of money. Stressful job. I mean, it sounds very similar to, you know, Wade. Wade does not that he was in the restaurant business, but, you know, he had a corporate job. He was making good money, but he just decided, you know what, I'm tired of working for such and such. I want to work for myself and create my own dream. And it sounds like that's what you wanted to do for yourself. And you
it did.
That route, right?
Yeah, and it started off like with mainly a lot of cell phones. You know, it started, I moved back to Arkansas. I don't even know what year it is because I've got 3 kids now, so I don't even know what day of the week it is now. But 5 years ago, I just had that desire, like I wanted to, you know, step out of that and start my own. I had no idea what that was at that time. But I'm a Christian. You know, a lot of people don't know, like I used to pastor a church, ordained minister, and I was just praying one day and driving my motorcycle, and I just felt God was just telling me, just go and put your 2 weeks notice in. I was going through a divorce at that time. And he said on Monday, you know, put your notice in, and that box of cell phones that you have, I want you to go and sell them and keep selling them and don't stop until I tell you to stop. So then he said, you know, I felt like he was telling me to go and find a motor home, like a drivable RV, you know. So on Monday morning, I went and put my notice in. That afternoon, I got a call from a friend of mine. He said, come see me when you get off of work. So I went and seen him, and he gave me a 1986 Winnebago. Just gave it to me, signed me over the title right then. Pretty much 2 weeks after that, I was a full-time reseller. Start off with a box of cell phones, and it was hot as heck in that sucker. But a lot of people, you know, out there, like for me, you know, there's always people like, how do you make that leap from to being a full-time reseller? And for me, it was just doing. Granted, I didn't have, I was going through divorce at that time. I didn't have any kids. So it was very easy for me to just jump in and do it because I didn't have a lot of overhead. It was just me that I was taking care of. So I would encourage somebody that has a family to just jump in and do it because it was definitely a learning curve. And I know when I first started doing it, it was $85 a day was my goal in sales, just buying cell phones, that kind of, you know, turned into my wife and my current wife. We got married. She quit her job. We both started in an 81 square foot bedroom, started selling cell phones. That got up to like $8,000-9,000 a month in revenue. Then we moved out of that into 1,000 square foot office space. Hired an employee, we got up to like $20,000 a month in revenue. And then we scaled up some more. You know, that was with a lot of, we were buying and selling cell phones. And I'm not talking about like high-end cell phones. I'm talking about like an average transaction of about 25 to 30 bucks. So we were selling 1,000, 1,500 cell phones a month during that time. And then that kind of led into, with the amount of employees that I had, that cell phones started getting more expensive. So I needed something to be able to decrease the margins on what I was selling. So that's when I got into to pallet flipping.
Okay. So that's where the transition happened. And Neutron Bomb had a question on how long it took to get traction on all this, Joe. But I think that answer is going to become obvious as we follow the trajectory of your business here. So, what was it? The experience of purchasing? I imagine you were purchasing, given how many phones you were selling, you were buying the phones wholesale, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, okay. So what was that what made you say, okay, I'm going to jump into purchasing pallets because you had this wholesale experience with the phones, or was there another reason that also made you jump into pallets as the business model as opposed to going to garage sales and estate sales and that sort of thing?
I mean, for my area, for here in Central Arkansas, I couldn't make a living going to garage sales or Goodwills or thrift stores because the prices at my Goodwills are higher than they are on eBay. It's crazy. So for me, like cell phones, I had 5 employees at that point in time. So I like cell phones, the market was changing with those. So I'd say with pallets, like I'm always looking at something. I spend probably, even now, I probably spend an hour or 2 a day sourcing online, looking at different stuff that I can buy, and then really picking and choosing different things that I can do. I think, with pallets is I just got on there, ordered, where was it from? Liquidation.com. And I ordered a pallet. The pallet that I ordered, it had a bunch of Instapots on it, which were comping at like $130 at that time. And I'm like, I can make some money off of this.
Was that the first pallet you bought?
Yeah, that was the first pallet. And that was in August of last year. August of last year. So almost a year ago from now. And I got the pallet in and it sucked. Like all the Instapots were broken. There was a bunch of other stuff that was on there that was junk. I'm talking about it was broken. I got so mad. It was only $300. I'm like $300. Like I was spending, $500-600 a day on cell phones at that time. So I'm like, I can buy a pallet for $300 and learn from it. But it sucked. I ended up giving almost the whole pallet away, threw the other half away. And I just called it a learning experience. And I'm like, well, I'm not ordering from liquidation.com anymore. So I just go ahead.
No, well, I think that's fascinating because there are a lot of people, I would say maybe even most people, Joe, in that situation that would have said, forget this with the pallets. I'm done. I'm not ordering from another place. I'm done. And I want people to pay attention to what you did, that you didn't give up on it, that you tried to use it as a learning experience. You said, all right, I made a mistake, I guess, with that. I'm going to go somewhere else. Not that you would have known. It's not even really a mistake. It's just something bad happened and you're not going to go back to the same place again. And wait till people hear how this has grown and what the warehouse is like. We're going to get there, but if you have not seen Joe's channel and seen Joe's warehouse, it's crazy. So anyway, so we'll build up to that. But so yeah, let's just talk about that for a second. What was it that made you say, I'm not going to just quit on the pallets and I'm going to try another place?
I mean, I think for me, I'm spending all those years in the restaurant industry is I'm a problem solver. Is that if one way didn't work, I'm going to try it another way. So like with pallets, I'm like, I saw the potential. I was talking to people. I was doing research. I got in different Facebook groups. I called people. I chatted them. And I'm like, this works. Like, it works. I just have to find the right stuff. So I just got on Facebook and started searching pallet liquidators. And I found one that sold some pallets that I wanted, because I started, asking what kind of pallets that I wanted. And since here in Arkansas, there's no, I can't really, I could drive like 4 or 5 hours to go to a pallet liquidation place like in Nashville or in Dallas or St. Louis, but there's nowhere like I can't just go drive 2 hours and go pick up a pallet and do it. So I couldn't do it. So I found there's a place called American Pallet Liquidators in Jeffersonville, Indiana. And I talked to different sales reps that were there, told them what my business model was, what I did, told them I can't drive there and come. And they recommended these Amazon medium box pallets for what I did. So I just ordered 2 of them. I think they were $500 a piece, and then I paid another $225 per pallet to have it shipped to me. And I got 2 pallets in. The first pallet that I unloaded, I got a 3D printer that paid for one whole pallet by itself.
Okay. So Joe, you could tell us other things that were in there, but before you go into it in more detail, I want to address a comment that came in, because there's this concern that if you're going out there and you're buying these pallets, and I've seen some of your unboxing videos. I mean, sometimes it really is a surprise what's in there. But there are ways to go. As Josh mentioned, you could go and you could get manifests ahead of time.
Yes.
To get a sense of what's in there. Because the reason I bring this up is some people have a concern that this is almost like gambling in a way. Like you're just.
It is.
So it is in a way.
It is.
Kind of like informed gambling, though, right? Like you could make more decisions about what it is.
And it really depends on your personal style. See, I'm a risk taker.
Okay.
I love the risk. I love that. I'm a risk person. My wife, she's not a risk person. So now it's different. Like, so for somebody, what I advise for somebody who, if you don't have a lot of money, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways I can go. Pallets is something that is very risky, especially if you're just going to be buying 1 pallet or 2 pallets at a time, because there's going to be some pallets that are going to be duds. Yes, you can buy manifested pallets, and they're going to cost you anywhere from, 12% to 18% on the dollar of original retail cost. And then there's some even more that may go as high as 25 to 30%, depending on what is on there. Like if electronics loads, they're going to cost you a larger percentage. But even within the realm of Amazon pallets, there's some pallets that you can get that they, like with Amazon, even with eBay, that if with Amazon return, if you return something on Amazon, like you changed your mind, it wasn't sent to you in a timely fashion. Items that would return policies that would indicate that there was nothing wrong with the item, it just didn't no longer suit your needs. Those go to a different Amazon return center. You can buy those. Most of those are going to be manifested loads or pallets that are going to cost 12 to 18% of retail. And then there's the other return pallets that they go to the other Amazon facilities to where those could be damaged. They missing pieces, return fraud, all kinds of stuff. That is more risky. But for my personality style, with what we went into, also things that we learned, is that there's big reward, big risk. What I found, like we purchased a truckload back in November of last year. We bought those 2 pallets. We'll kind of fast forward just a little bit. And then we can backtrack or answer any questions. But I purchased those 2 pallets, and there's a $600 3D printer on there. There was lots of other items that we made probably 3 or 4 times our money. So we profited probably about $3-4 grand off of that $1,500. For us, those margins are acceptable. For people who are used to thrifting or garage selling, that those margins, they would laugh at, oh, well, that was just, 100% profit or 150% profit. I'm used to 700% profit. So for those people, there's going to have to a mindset change to where you're not going to expect 300 or 400, 500% return on your investment. for that. You may get 150 or 200%, but it's money. And if it really depends on what you're wanting to do and really what your sourcing strategy is, whether pallets would even fit into that. And it even more so that it really depends on where you are. Like if you're a reseller that you want to be a reseller, but you have trouble finding local sources that can help drive your reselling business, then pallets might be a thing for you. But educated, you may start off with like manifested loads, and there's even different software that you can purchase that you can get an invoice, run it through this software, and it will take the Amazon numbers and it will tell you your projected profit margin based off of that pallet or that truckload, based off of what those items are selling for, whether if you select used or new condition.
Wow. I mean, this is why I'm telling people you've got to follow Joe on YouTube. I did not see many people put a number in there to indicate what number subscriber you are. And now that you've heard how knowledgeable this man is on this, I mean, this is what he does for a living. You should definitely go subscribe. I've put his YouTube channel in there several times. I'm going to put it in again. He's also a great guy, and you know, just again, chock full of information. I'm going to ask a couple questions, Joe, because we've got some questions coming in from people in the chat and some comments as well that maybe you could address. So one from James Cisco from Suncoast Resellers. He said that you know, since Amazon require, and you do sell on Amazon, people ask, and I said in the beginning, you're Amazon and eBay plus local retail through your warehouse. But since Amazon requires invoices for some items, are you able to resell items bought from the pallet on Amazon FBA, or is that not considered enough of an invoice for them?
So here's the deal. Like we are currently not selling on Amazon because we are currently suspended because of false counterfeit claims, which I can help educate you on some workarounds with that. So
wow, okay, that's my bad. I know you used to.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's with Amazon. We can open up another flood of stuff. So yes, you can sell these items on Amazon. If you sell these items on Amazon, I would highly suggest that you only sell these items as used condition. Do not sell anything that you purchase, even if you buy a brand new item from Goodwill or from a pallet. If it's brand new condition, it's not brand new technically, because the chain of custody has been broken, right? So it can only technically be sold as new if you get it directly from the manufacturer or from a wholesaler, right? But as long as you sell it in used condition, you have some protection according to the law of first sale. The law of first sale, it protects resellers like me and other people from being able to buy an item and then sell it. Because I may say I buy a Ninja blender and I use it for 5 months, and then I want to sell it on Amazon, right? Well, the law of first sale protects me. It protects copyright infringement, other things, but also to a level of counterfeit items. And there's really lots of don't sell Chinese goods on Amazon, even if it's used condition, because they fight dirty. So I'm currently fighting with 3 Chinese sellers where I had sold. I didn't even sell. I had listed 3 items, each one individual items that I had them all listed. Well, one of them was listed in new condition because that's when I had first started it. I was not aware of this thing. It was brand new. So I'm like, I'm going to sell it as new. That they reported me to Amazon as counterfeit, which we'll get into. And then 2 others that's reported counterfeit also, that I had the items listed in used condition, but didn't even sell. But how these Chinese companies, they fight dirty is because it's much harder to refute a counterfeit claim than it is an intellectual property claim because of the law of first sale. Like as long as you're selling it as used condition, that the law of first sale protects you from infringement. You may get it suspended, but it's going to be a lot easier for you to refute that because of the law of first sale than a counterfeit item. So actually, the one guy who reported that I had sold as new, he lifted his claim, right? As long as I don't sell the item. But there's two other people that they are not working with me. So I'm actually working with a business that ultimately they help Amazon sellers get their accounts back from these fraudulent ordeals.
Right. There's a whole cottage industry that is built up of people to help people get their Amazon accounts back, because if you're trying to do it by yourself, it's very, very difficult from what I've heard. And
Amazon,
thank you. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
Amazon's it's the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like people eBay sellers that complain about eBay, like I encourage you to go sell on Amazon for a month, and you'll be counting your blessings to be able to sell on eBay, especially with how well they actually protect buyers. They protect sellers in comparison to Amazon. Like Amazon, they don't care about sellers, because there'll be 10 more weed sellers that will pop up and they'll still get their money.
Not only that, Amazon competes against their own third-party sellers.
They do.
Yeah.
And it's like a few weeks ago, there's, I don't know, hundreds of people who sold the brand Logitech. Out of nowhere, Amazon gated the product, meaning that nobody could sell it, right? And they also didn't even give people the opportunity to be able to get ungated in that category. So there was people who had millions of dollars of inventory of Logitech sitting in Amazon warehouses that could no longer sell the product because Amazon and Logitech, they gated it.
Well, that's amazing. That's
so
incredible. Yeah.
But yes, to answer your question, you can sell these items on Amazon in use condition. There's actually a humongous market on Amazon for it. But if you're going to do so, especially on a higher scale level, I encourage you to get a lawyer on attorney, because at some point in time, you will have to deal with a false intellectual property claim. You will have to deal with a bogus counterfeit claim. So having a legal counsel on retainer that could send a letter referencing the law of first sale is going to be a huge benefit for you.
Wow.
But there's people I know. There's one individual, he was featured in Forbes, who he's helped me out a lot, that last year, he started last year of March buying truckloads of Amazon medium box manifested loads. And he did $1.5 million in revenue last year between Amazon and eBay. And he deals with these all the time, these false claims. But he has an attorney on his side, and they go to bat. So yes, you can do that, and you can make lots of money. And to give you a little feedback, it's really Amazon FBA in regards to big items is a game changer. Meaning like a canopy, those big 10-foot by 10-foot canopies that you can get. That it may cost me, if I sell it on eBay, it will probably cost me about $40 to $50 to ship that item FedEx, right? But if I was to sell that item Amazon FBA, that it would probably cost me $3.50, maybe $4 to send that into Amazon facility. And then it may only cost me another $12 or $15 in Amazon shipping fees for them to send it to the buyer. So a total shipping cost may be $20 versus what I would have had to pay of $50. That's an extra $30 in profit margin just from selling big items Amazon FBA. And there's lots of other stuff that you can do that with Amazon.
Right, because they could leverage the shippers because there's so much volume.
Yeah. And if you do pallets and you are able to, I would encourage you to do it just because of the scaling. Big boxes, the problem that we ran into when we had 1,000 square foot office space is I couldn't hold more than like 2 or 3 pallets in there before I ran out of space. But had I used Amazon FBA then, I could have probably stayed in that same facility for a lot longer, saving a lot of money, and sending it all into Amazon.
Right. For those of you who are brand new, Amazon FBA lets you ship the items to them, and they keep it in their storage facility, and then we'll ship it once the order is processed, so you don't have to worry about that. I just want to say thank you to for a couple things. One, for Marie for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate that, Marie. Thank you very much for supporting the channel in that way. Means a lot, and also means a lot to all the people who then went and subbed to you, Joe. So you got a whole bunch more
Awesome
subs that came in. Courtney from Bolo Buddies. Go check Courtney out from Bolo Buddies, by the way. She is awesome. She's got a great Facebook group and also a YouTube channel. Donatella, she also has a great storage unit YouTube channel and Facebook group as well. And thanks to everybody else there who also subscribed to Joe. So Joe, there's lots of questions coming in, man.
Yeah.
One is, so let's just say you said to yourself, okay, you know, I hear everything you're saying. I'm willing to take a risk. I'm willing to just start off, and I want to buy an Amazon return pallet. How do I do that? Do I just go on Amazon and just click buy an Amazon pallet and it comes to me? I'm throwing a softball out to you, but smash that one away. Tell me how you do that.
I mean, there's lots of different ways. You know, a helpful tool that I've talked about, I actually did a video about, there's a Facebook group called Product Sourcing 101. That they are pretty much a group.
Could you say the name of that again?
Product Sourcing 101.
Okay.
And Rob and his wife, I forget her name, but they've been in this scope of liquidation wholesale for a long time. They've got a website, productsourcing101.com, lots of useful tools there. But in that group, there's lots, they have lists. They've created lots of tools that if you're wanting to look for a pallet liquidator that is in your state, then they've got that. You know, so first, if you are wanting to get into pallets, the first place I would go to is Google Maps, search pallet liquidator, and then Facebook pallet liquidator, and find some local places that are close to you so that you can go and you can talk to the salespeople and kind of see what you're getting. You know, if you're able to, it's why I say that, because if you can find someplace local, you can save lots of money on shipping. And if you're just getting started, like for me, for instance, those two first pallets that I purchased, that was $500 for the pallet. But then it was in another $225 just to ship it. So that's an increase of an extra 50%. So if you're small scale, that's a lot of money. I mean, if you're expecting to make maybe $800-900 off of that pallet, but then $250 of it's taken away from shipping, that's a lot of money. So being able to do that, it's going to be a good place to start. But what if you don't have a place close to you? Well, then that's when you other states that are closer to you, that you want to try and find somewhere really within 5-6 hours, just because of the cost of shipping. It's going to greatly reduce your cost. So then you can call them, kind of tell them what you're looking for, what pallets they have. And there's all kinds. I mean, usually a lot of these places of pallet liquidators, they're either going to have Amazon. If they're smaller, they may not have Amazon, just because the costs have been going up on those. But also Amazon has redone a lot of contracts because of people, pallet liquidators weren't honoring this contract. They were doing stuff they wouldn't have. So a lot of people lost contracts and other people got new contracts. They're going to have that. They're going to have Walmart loads, Target loads, Lowe's, Home Depot, all those kinds of places.
But you don't buy them directly from the place, right? You don't go to Amazon you don't call Amazon or go on a secret Amazon website, right, to purchase the Amazon pallets. That's not how it works, right?
Amazon really, they won't do it because of the liability.
So here's a question I had. Can you purchase, the question before was about getting things with an invoice or without an invoice and selling it on Amazon, and could you or could you not? But could you buy something from an Amazon return pallet and then go back and sell it on Amazon?
Yes.
You take an Amazon product and put it back on there.
Yes, as long as you're selling it as used condition.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the thing is if you're gated in that category for that item, these invoices, they're not going to get you ungated because Amazon does not honor. They don't honor invoices from these places. They will from a wholesaler. It's just like if you go and you do retail arbitrage, and the UPC number is not on your receipt. Amazon doesn't honor those either. It has to have a UPC number attached to that specific item on a receipt. So they're not going to honor that. But for a lot of those things, and yes, having the invoice and having the manifested invoice is going to help you long run, especially when it comes to if you do have somebody have a false intellectual property claim against you or a false counterfeit claim, that it's going to help you because in your legal letter, you can reference, I purchased this from this Amazon approved liquidation company, and this item in reference is line number 51, and I had one of these. So it will help you, but it's not required. But it's definitely for somebody who's not, that you want to play it close to vest and protect yourself as much as possible, then I would probably do the manifested pallets.
Yeah. All right. So, but you also still buy pallets without a manifest?
Yes, I have. I know my wife, she's wanting to start buying some manifested loads because the last truckload that we got, we bought a whole truckload of Amazon small box items. And we got like, I don't know, 20,000 items on this truckload. But they were a pain in the butt to deal with because that many items. We were doing bin sales in the warehouse. It took a lot more time than what we were wanting to do. But for her personality type, she's wanting to do manifested loads, which I'm okay with because, you know, you kind of know what you're working with.
Right. And I want to thank James Cisco for the $2.99 super chat. And thanks, James, for putting that banner together. I know you didn't realize I had put one up. Facebook crapped out today along with Instagram with photos being uploaded. So, but thank you so much for all the support. I really appreciate it, James. I want you to address, Joe, a concern that Josh from Oregon Coastal State has brought up several times so far in the chat so far, which is that you need to be careful when you're purchasing pallets because you'll typically get things sent to you that are off season. So, you know, in summertime, you're getting stuff for winter or vice versa. How do you deal with that if there is a way to?
Well, it just depends if you have space. And the thing about pallets, you know, one thing that I wasn't prepared for, transitioning, you know, we still do a lot of cell phones just because of the sell-through rate. Like we sell just as many items as we list every single month. But with pallets, it's a different story. People who sell a lot of clothing, I find it fascinating, you know, for people who, you know, a lot of other resellers are like, I've got, you know, 2,000 items listed in my inventory and I'm doing, you know, $4,000 a month in sales. You know, for us, it's like we've got 600 items listed in our store. And we're doing about $16,000, $17,000 a month in revenue on eBay. That's not including, you know, Facebook Marketplace. But the one thing that I learned, and then other people may find it, is that a lot of this stuff that you're going to get, if it's whether it's, you know, if specifically we're talking about Amazon pallets, is you're getting a lot of stuff that's slow moving stuff. So you are going to need to have some money to be able to sit there to float you until those items sell, because it may take you a while. If you are purchasing something and you need to make that money back in a couple of weeks, well, then it's probably pallet. I'd wait until you have a little bit more money saved up, just to make sure that you are you have enough capital to float you as your items sell. If you have a slower sell-through rate, then it's not going to be a thing for you. But one big learning curve that we had was we were not anticipating the slower sell-through rate. Some items they would sell very, very quickly, but the vast majority of inventory that we had, it took a long time to sell.
So yeah, you got to be willing to long tail some stuff if you're going to do what you're doing.
Yes. But yes, to answer the question, you're going to get, like, we got lots of Halloween stuff. and I've still got boxes of it. We got Christmas stuff. We got lots of summer stuff. The load that I ordered in November, we got lots of canopies and umbrellas, pool cleaners. Well, I had that in storage, and I'm breaking it all out now, and it's been selling like hotcakes on Facebook Marketplace. That there's lots of that sells. One big thing that we did have is like it was the end of the year when we purchased another truckload in January. Is we got so much, so many 2018 merchandise that had like 2018 and like calendars and daily planner stuff. That we had a lot of junk that just it went in the trash.
Okay.
And so it really depends if you have the space. If you don't have the space and you want to get rid of it, you need that money back, then, you know, you can put it on Facebook, depending on, you know, if you have a Facebook rich ecosystem in your area. A lot of people, they don't have a very good ecosystem for Facebook in their community. For us, we have an amazing Facebook community. We don't get people that stand us up. If somebody says they're going to be there, I think I've had one person never show up when they were supposed to, and we've sold, I don't know, hundreds of items on Facebook. But you can also send it to an auction house. There's going to be somebody that's going to buy it, but you're going to get pennies on the dollar. But I would encourage you, if you have the storage, then to keep it until that season comes up again, or go rent you a storage facility if you have enough space. You know, I understand depending on where you're from, it may cost $6-7 a square foot for a storage unit, and that's not going to be cost inducive for you. But you know, just if you can't keep it, then somebody's going to buy it out there somewhere.
Right. Okay. So we have some other questions in the chat. I mean, questions are just pouring in. I think people are really interested in the information you're providing, Joe. A question here for Neutron Bomb, because he is selling on Amazon. His question is how to get ready for Prime Day, based on your experience.
I mean, if you should have already, like, it's too late to get ready for Prime Day.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, you had to send those things in.
Yeah, like all of those items had to be sent in and received at the fulfillment centers.
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks ago
Right.
to make sure.
Yeah, that's just like now. I put some in my Facebook group the other day where I said, if you want to start selling stuff on Amazon for Christmas time and getting in on these Christmas deals, you need to start sending that stuff in now.
Yeah, you do. And I think really if you're wanting to plan for next Prime Day, and especially now because eBay is getting involved with it too, I think Target's doing it, is take some notes with the themes of items that are being sold. You know, gadgets, electronics, those are always going to be those things, but take mental notes of those, or just paper notes would be better so you don't forget. And if you are wanting to get into the wholesale market, then you start trying to work contacts now so that you can get that product or similar product in the newer product in, you know, March of next year, to make sure that you can get it in and get it sent into Amazon to have it on time. Same thing with like Christmas and stuff. And just knowing what those items are so that you can plan for the future to know for it.
Right. And this is too good of a segue for me to pass up. So for those of you who are upset that you may have missed out on making some deals for Prime Day, if you're Amazon seller, you didn't send your stuff in, there is plenty of opportunity to get ready for Primetime Day. And that is going to take place at my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, on July 15th and 16th. I posted a video about it in my Facebook group, and rules. The whole announcement is in the announcement section. So go check it out. You will be able to sell and buy stuff at great deals within the group on those days. So that's all I'm going to say about it, but I couldn't pass that up, Joe. It was just too good.
Yeah, no, you're good. And Marie had said something earlier I want to comment on, is she said her local pallet liquidator, they take all the good stuff. And they do. There's lots of people that skim the top, that they say that they don't go through them, but they go through them.
Just like storage unit places do that sometimes.
They do. So that's why if you go to those, It's always good to be able to see those, but if you can't go see them, it's always good to get people that you know that they don't go through it. That's why I purchase from American Pallet Liquidators, because they don't do that. There'd be no way. And then somebody else had something I wanted to comment on. I forgot where it go. Food pallet. I've never bought a food pallet before, but there is another reselling group in my town here in Conway that they buy lots of food. They do very well selling it out of their retail space. But the thing about food pallets, you can get them very, very cheap. I'm talking about like some pallets you can get for like $85. But the majority of those are going to be either they're expired product, damaged boxes, or it's about to expire. So if you're looking to flip those items, you're not going to be able to flip that on Amazon because it's going to be too close to the retail date. It's probably going to be a tough time selling on eBay. And if you do, I would make sure that you are an LLC and that you have some type of protection, because if you're selling, expired food online in that type of avenue, like it's not very safe. But there are lots of local places, if your desire is to do that you can make lots of money locally on items that do have that shelf expiration date, quickly approaching, that you can make lots of money doing that. But it's a lot of then again, it depends on really what your sourcing strategy is. It's something my wife and I, we always talk about, is what is your sourcing strategy? You have to know what that strategy is. And then you've got to go with that. You can't be wishy-washy and keep changing, because then you're just going to get confused, and you're just the stuff you're buying. It's not good in my opinion.
Yeah. Put a business plan in place, execute it, adjust as needed. Thank you, Sylvia Young, with the double super chat, the $2 and the $2 back-to-back. Sylvia Young, thank you very much. Sylvia is an awesome presence here in the chats consistently, and in the Facebook group. She's exactly the type of person that we love having around. So thank you so much, Sylvia. I really, really appreciate that. Great question came in from Savvy Saver 23. And this is something we kind of talked about a little bit before the show, Joe, which is, on YouTube, there are a lot of people who will go on and they'll say, I found all this great stuff at Walmart today, and I'm going to ship it into Amazon. I'm going to make all this money on it. And what's the problem with doing that? Is that a no-no?
Don't buy that stuff. Because everyone saw it, and everyone's running out to get it, and now this is the difference between these different reselling business models. Like, for example, someone might have seen, I just have this sitting here, but someone might have seen one of my haul videos where I went out and I go around like a bandit in the estate sales, and I pick these light switch covers off the walls with my screwdriver that I resell. But like, I could show that because no one could go out right now and go buy 500 of these and go sell them on eBay. Like, so it's okay for me to do that. But if I found this at Target for 99 cents and they're selling for $12.99 if you ship them in, everyone's going to go out and buy them. So like, if you run a YouTube channel, right, like you got to be careful, because you might unintentionally shoot yourself in the foot. Like, you're excited that you found something, but then you might mess it up, right? It's just people who do that, they do lots of videos like that. They're making more from the videos than they are from doing it. And they're in it for the views. They're not in it like you can. This is my personal take, that they can say that they're trying to help people out, and they probably have a desire to want to help people, but ultimately it's for views. It's for those advertising dollars that they're getting from Google Analytics, from Google AdSense for the YouTube views, because they're going to make money off of it. Like, there's no really, if you want to shoot yourself in the foot, then you do that. But why would you I'll just pose a question. If you found a replenishable item at Walmart, meaning an item that you found at Walmart, at your particular Walmart, that you can get for a particular price, that you can always get it at that price, why would you as a business person go and then put that item on YouTube so that, you know, it'll get 20,000 views, and there'll probably be 2% of those views that will probably go out to their Walmart and buy the same thing and send it in the Amazon? Well, then it's going to be a race to the bottom. Like, why would you give that replenishable? It's something that you could, if you could make $500 a month at it easy by going and buying 50 of them every time you go to Walmart. Like, why would you put that on YouTube? Like, it's really, and unfortunately, resellers like you that are out there, you become the victim to these things, because then you want the hope and the desire to have financial freedom, or to get out and follow these dreams of reselling. You invest that money that you had to go and buy these same items, but then you don't make any money, and it's just sitting in Amazon, and you're freaking out because you need that money. You were promised, like, oh, it's going to sell quick, but then you bought it at $15. But by the time that you got it into Amazon and it's ready for sale, well, that item is at $20, and the fees are going to be $8. So you're already in the negative $3.
Right.
So don't, if you're watching videos out there and there's people like, I think what you can learn from those videos though is the strategy is that if they can teach you anything, it's don't buy those items, but get the technique of actually going to Walmart, going to Dollar Tree, wherever it is that you can, Walgreens, Rite Aid, all those places, and just get your Amazon seller app, if that's your strategy, and scanning those items until you can find something that may only have 2 or 3 sellers on it, and you may make 40% ROI, but you don't have to do a lot of work for it.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Great information. We got a few minutes left. Try to squeeze a few more questions in, Joe. So how many employees do you have now?
Currently, we have scaled back. We've kind of been going through a process of figuring out our strategy moving forward. We did a truckload of Amazon medium box pallets. We did a truckload of Amazon small box pallets. I haven't ordered any more pallets since January because I got in it. Like, for me, I'm a risk taker. It's kind of like I said earlier in the video, is that I get out there and I learn as I go. And then I kind of take a step back and figure out, okay, what lessons have I learned? What strategies can I apply now that's going to help me going forward? So like right now we have 1 full-time employee. We've also got my wife that helps out. We used to have, we had 5 employees total, including myself last year. But, like last year we did $370,000 in revenue. Last year we did $192,000 in revenue the year before. So we almost doubled in revenue last year over the previous year. But I didn't, like, my profit margin didn't really increase the way that I needed it to. So I've scaled back to actually make more money for less work.
I'm always going to get asked the question what the profit margin is in general, if you know.
I mean, for me, it's different. Like I could probably, like right now we're doing 16 grand a month. Like not including my wife's and I pay, we'll probably profit 4 grand a month. Depending on if, we like to have that money in case we want to go and spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a particular product, that it may be high one month, it may be 8 grand the next month because we don't have to purchase as much stuff. But for us, it's probably, overall with our pay, it's probably about 100% profit. 100% ROI.
Okay.
So, total 8 grand profit off of 16 grand in sales.
Okay. I've got another question here on whether or not the dimensional shipping changes have affected your business. That's also from Neutron Bound.
I haven't noticed any, but like right now, because the amount of pallet goods that we have, we probably sell maybe 5% of our sales right now are from pallet items. And a lot of those items are smaller. and they're usually cubic shipping to 12 by 12, by 12. So they haven't really affected me that much. What really affected me the most was the first class changes in January. That really affected me quite a bit in relation to our consumer electronics sales that we have, because the vast majority of those sales are first class. And in my particular, niche, you got to offer free shipping because the vast majority of people do free shipping. So when I ship to California, I'm making, $1.50 less than I do when I ship it to Florida. I haven't really noticed that big of a difference because it hasn't really affected me that much with what I'm selling right now. I probably will see, as we start getting more pallet goods in the next couple of weeks and start getting that listed, I'll probably notice that a lot.
Okay. Kenny had a funny comment about, he loves your hat. He wants to know where you got your hat.
Amazon.
Amazon. Now, if you like hats, I got a little surprise. I got a little hat that I'm going to bust out right here. Mr. Prime Time. I got this as a Father's Day present. So there we go. Mr. Prime Time. Maybe I'll wear this for a little bit. So we both have the hat on. How about that?
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's see. I think there might just be a couple last questions to get to before we wrap up for the night. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna end off with my own question for you, Joe, which is, since there's all these issues with the rules that Amazon is putting in place, and all there's a lot of restrictions, and there's all these problems with getting nailed by people making false counterfeiting claims and all these sorts of things. Is Shopify a viable opportunity for people to reach out to, because there you're running your own thing, and they've also recently started their own FBA like network where you're going to be able to send stuff to their own place where they'll store stuff and ship stuff out for you. So they're trying to capitalize on these problems that Amazon's having. But how realistic do you think that is from someone who's in the business, that Shopify could really compete with Amazon at some point with this stuff?
I think long term they can. I think there's big changes coming for Amazon as a whole. That there needs to be some regulations. I think Shopify is a viable opportunity, but it really depends on how you want to spend your money. Because with Shopify, the thing about them is they don't generate you any web traffic to your Shopify store. That is all going to be through your own advertising, through Google, whatever means of advertising you do on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Google AdWords, really whatever marketing scheme you come up with, you are paying for those dollars out of pocket. So accounting wise, it's really going to come from a different line. But Amazon, you're on Amazon because of the volume. Like eBay, I sell on eBay because of the exposure that my items get. I mean, any given month, I've got 2 million views on my items. That there's no way that I could generate 2 million views where I am locally. There's no way that, it would cost me, like my eBay fees, usually about $1,000 to $1,500 per month. That there's no way if I was to spend $1,000 in advertising to drive people to my Shopify store, I would have to spend probably $5,000 or $6,000 in advertising to generate the same traffic. I think as early on in infancy stages with Shopify, is yes, they are putting things in place, but it may be some time, but you're going to have to, like right now, you're going to have to pay for your own advertising to get there. But with Shopify, they've also changed a lot of things where the fees to have a store are a lot less expensive. There are also lots of other cross-listing websites and software that you can get that will take your listings from Amazon and will automatically cross-list those on your Shopify store. Same thing with your eBay items. But if you're selling, the thing about with that is that Shopify, when they import, it doesn't import very well for used items. It only really imports well if the item is brand new, because in Shopify right now, there's no place to put condition. Like there's no drop-down box used. good, used like new, brand new. They don't have that. So you have to put that down in the description box, like this item is in used condition. So if you're selling new items, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be able to do that, but not really a lot of cost. Like if you don't want to spend money advertising, you can create your own Facebook page. I recommend if you are a reseller, you need to have your own Facebook page. You probably need to have you need to have it because you can advertise like around Christmas time. There's a lot of, we put our webpage on there, our eBay store. We advertise a lot on there, and we got some traction. We got some business from that. But to speak directly to Shopify, I think long term, I don't like Amazon at some point is going to come back to the pack of other, eBay clearly number 2, $11 billion last year. They did more than Walmart, Target, and Best Buy combined in revenue. But Amazon over $100 billion in revenue last year. So there's a humongous gap, but Amazon's going to have to come back to the pack. And there's just things with Amazon, not to be doom and gloom, but long-term Amazon, is there really, just different policies that they're implementing? Their different business practices that they have is they're kind of pushing, a small business and mom and pop operations out the door just because of the way that they do things. Not to say that you can't be profitable right now, because there's a window of time that you're operating with that you can do that, but long-term viability, you've got to have it. So having it, because at some point you could deal with an Amazon suspension, but if you have good, Shopify store and build that up, then it's going to be better for you just to protect yourself.
Wow, that's very useful information, man. Thank you so much. Just last thing, it's a quick question from Donna, but you're and I had it too. You're primarily on eBay now, then?
Yes, we do a lot of Facebook Marketplace and then predominantly eBay. We should have from the individual I've been using to get our Amazon account back. We should have that back within the next 6 to 8 weeks, and we'll start purchasing product just to do Amazon FBA with that. But right now we're just selling eBay and on Facebook.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I really appreciate the amazing information that Joe provided here. Again, please go and subscribe if you didn't. I know many of you did, but for those watching this on a replay, would really help you out if you subscribed and saw his great videos, and you could actually see his warehouse operation. We didn't get a chance to talk much about that tonight, but it is absolutely huge. So you just go there and you'll get to see it firsthand. I put a link to it right there to Family Flips. You'll get to see his family and stuff, his wife, his kids and stuff, all help out in the business. So if you're, kind of like a family-oriented person, you'll really like it. And you could just tell, Joe's a great guy and, very approachable and stuff if you have a question and stuff like that. Thanks to Neutron Bomb for the $1.99 super chat, and Ivan Black, a new super chatter, dropping his first one down in the chat section. I appreciate that, Ivan. I've seen you around, and I really appreciate the support. Hey, hats off to you. As Kenny said, Kenny's our resident comedian. He's got like the best jokes in the business, and I told you we had Ed McMahon on the side. I'm gonna have to start nicknaming Kenny Ed McMahon. We just have to find a way to play like one of those chortling laughs. Like he used to do with Johnny Carson. So thanks, Joe. I'll let you say goodbye real quick, and then I'll just sign off.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all subbing, and be looking out. My wife and I, we've been working on some videos that we're releasing next week to really give more about our story, where we're at right now, and just some different things that we're doing moving forward. So if you just subscribed, you're coming at a good time to where we've got some strategy to be more active in the YouTube community.
Awesome. And hey, if you like this show and you feel like sharing it with somebody else who you think might find it useful, let people know about it, get the information out here. I mean, this interview was just filled with just great insider information on this whole side of reselling that a lot of people don't know too much about, but yet are interested in diving into. So I know it helped James out making some decisions tonight, and hopefully it will help out other people as well down the road.
And if any of y'all have questions, I know Don put my Instagram handle in there. Send me a direct message there. And I'm not going to drop everything that I'm doing at that moment, but I will do my best to respond and even arrange a telephone conversation to answer any questions, because sometimes telephone calls I can get done in 5 minutes versus a 25-minute texting session on Facebook or Instagram. I got 5 minutes. I don't really have 25, but I'll give you a 5-minute phone call.
Awesome. What a great guy. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. And I will see you. We've got another awesome interview lined up for next week. I'll be announcing that shortly. So stay tuned in the Facebook group and on Instagram for information about that coming shortly. And I'll see everyone at the next video, everyone. Take care.
Peace.